Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Wednesday night's Ysterra. Last we left off, our intrepid crew of adventurers, freshly aboard, well, maybe not necessarily freshly, but having only recently started to understand the joy that it is navigating and flying an airship that they have no comprehension of how to do. Learning on the fly, they somehow managed to make their way across practically the entirety of the Imperium into the southernmost reaches, the desert of the Imperium, to a large metropolitan city known as Ysterra. Ysterra is the largest city in the desert, encompassing nearly 2/3 of all of the people that actually live in the southern portions of the country. And as they made their way there, in search of a specific individual, a noted and renowned craftsman, a blacksmith capable of forging lunar steel, a resilient and powerful metal that they needed to craft a core and critical component to their airship. Should they continue to fly their airship, they cannot see a future without that component. After their arrival in Ysterra, they sought out this blacksmith, a man by the name of Dove, played by our wonderful and amazing Bleak Season last week and tonight, and finally got a wonderful home-cooked meal thanks to his wife Nora. Had a fair bit of happiness their way as they settled in for an evening of rest, knowing that what comes next is going to be perhaps a sight more difficult. Tasking Dove with this craft at seemingly no cost, given that they are a friend of one of their friends, Tamra. We now find ourselves in the morning of the 14th day of Bress. As you all awaken, sitting in the home of Dove, his wife Nora, and their young boy, Taryn, you all awaken fairly renewed, perhaps one of the better night's sleep that you have had in quite some time. I am curious if you would all tell me, how did you pass your evening? Did you find sleeping in this place comforting, or perhaps the opposite? Start with you, Sisk.
So at the end of last session, Sisk was uncomfortable with the kind of picturesque family life. They were waiting for the other shoe to drop, and I don't think that kind of went away overnight. I think they were pacing. Maybe they hung out with Ren for a bit. Probably Ren's probably a good person to hang out with when you're up late at night or you're having trouble sleeping. So, yeah.
Definitely fair to say. And what about you, Ian? How did Bren take the evening?
I think being that it was such a comfortable evening that I think all of them have had in a long time, is probably the deepest sleep that Bren has gotten, since this whole thing started. I guess outside of that night that they were all drunk together, and I think unknowingly he reverted to Bear Bren, like where he slept. And I'm pretty sure anyone up heard it too. Yeah.
Nice. I'm curious what that will mean for him in the morning, but we'll get to that. What about the twins? How did you guys fare? Deb?
Which one first? We're our own individual people, GM.
Deb?
I think Mira full on crashed. I think she's been going a lot lately, and so she at the end of the day, she's got a lot of concerns about what's happening, not just in Orlestrin, but in Cyrnath now too. And I think she just did whatever she could to crash and push it out of her mind and get what rest she could. So whether or not she was successful, that was what she was trying to do.
And Beth.
Other twin, yes. 80 can sense that everyone is a bit on edge with everything, and she understands all of it, but I think she's in a strange position of feeling really great right now. She's in this weird place that just feels good to her. She was able to work and actually feel very useful, and I think that that's something that she missed for a good long while. So I think she would have slept very well.
What about Violet?
Yeah, I think after dinner she probably went for a walk to get some fresh air and to kind of clear her mind, and I think she slept pretty well.
And Dove?
I think Dove was up all night. He knows that this gig that they want him to do is something that's not beyond his skill, but definitely a bit of a challenge. So I think he was up all night pouring through books and, drawing designs and kind of trying to figure out certain things. And at some point, his wife probably came in, told him to get to bed, and he probably said, yes, I'm coming right away. And then probably spent another few hours still working, and eventually kind of tried to tiptoe his way into bed, like just before sunrise, and just in time to hear her say, I'm awake, And so he's probably a little bit haggard and beeline in for the coffee this morning.
Well, as everyone awakens, beelining for coffee, cleaning up bare hair from mattresses, and the like, you all make it down to the kitchens, where you find Nora has been busily preparing breakfast in convenient paper sacks. Nice warmed biscuits with cinnamon butter upon them, staple of this region, along with steel mugs filled with cider. And as you each come down to breakfast, she greets you all warmly. Who do you think would be first among you to make it down?
Probably me. In fact, probably my wife, and then I'd be down a little bit after.
As you come down to the kitchen and smell the familiar aromas of wonderful breakfast from Nora, she goes over to the dining table and takes a seat and has a mug of cider in front of her and sips it slowly, and she just watches you. And despite your sleep-addled state, you know that she has something to tell you. She's waiting.
And I'm doing my absolute best to be very busy with this little napkin that I have and some final calculations that I'm making, and I'm just kind of avoiding. Maybe if I bring it in at an angle like this instead, and then I could conceivably build a supporting rod over here. Now that might add a little.
She slides one of the steel mugs of cider in front of you, nudging your hand holding the napkin.
Oh, thank you, dear. That's very kind of you.
You glance up and see her just staring at you, not drinking from hers.
I'm sorry I didn't come to bed, but there's a lot to do.
I know. I'm curious how you planning on seeing through these folk and their tasks in such a sleep-addled state, dear husband.
Well, I mean, wouldn't be the first time.
No. But
And-
based on everything that you seem to be doing, this is probably one of the most challenging things that you're ever going to do in your lifetime.
Which is why I weighed the pros and the cons of being prepared versus being sleep-addled. And I figured that being prepared was probably worth a few ounces of win a bit more than the other thing. I'll be fine there. I'll be fine. I'm gonna drink this here pot of coffee, and we're gonna take a nice brisk walk up the mountain, and the fresh air is gonna, revivify me. I'm gonna be the dwarf half an age, the age that I am right now. You won't even recognize me. I'll come down from that mountaintop and I get up and I start to dance a little bit. I'm gonna come down from there. I'm gonna be hopping and skipping and dancing right into the kitchen. And then I'm gonna sit here and I'm gonna wait for you to come back from work. And when you come in, I'm gonna have prepared this nice little meal for you. And we're gonna sit down here and I'm gonna tell you all about my day. And you're gonna tell me to go wash my hands because there's still dirt and grime underneath. And I'm gonna be like, I'm gonna dance over to the sink, and then I'm gonna just scoot over to the sink. And you're not buying any of it, are you?
Not a word.
Yeah. All right, so maybe I won't scoot, but I'll be fine, hon. I swear.
Why
I'll
don't
be
you
fine.
just do your damnedest to succeed and make it back as soon as you can?
Have I ever done different? Have I ever not done my utmost to make sure I come back?
You always have, but I always tell you too, just to make sure.
Well, all this talk is starting to sound like foreshadowing for my death, and I don't think I like that. So we're gonna just sit here, have breakfast, and tonight when I come home, we're gonna have dinner like usual. And these, I don't know, pirates of the sky will be gone, and this will just be a story that we tell our kids someday when we're living in a nice little log cabin on the shores of a lake somewhere far, far away from all this madness and the rebellion and the Nostromo and everything else.
He stands up, takes a sip from her mug, places it back down on the table, walks over to you, leans over and just kisses you on the top of your head and says, "Promises, promises," and she just pats your cheek.
Hey, you know me. I always deliver. Now, quit worrying about it. They're going to come down and they're going to see you worrying, and they're going to start worrying, and then I'm going to have a whole slew of worrying babies on my...
I'm not going to be here. I'm going to go and take care of Taryn.
Okay, that's good. Thanks. And thank you for the support and for believing in me and giving me the opportunity to go and do this.
Always have, always will. Gives your hand a squeeze and walks away.
I wait till she's out of her shell, and I'm like, everybody wake up!
I think Bren was like already downstairs. but
Start
didn't
banging a
wanna,
pot
like,
and pan.
interrupt.
Come on, people. That mountain ain't gonna climb itself, and that ship ain't gonna fly itself. Come on, let's go, let's go, let's go.
Are all your mornings like that?
Just the ones where we got stuff to do. Now, come on, sit down, grab yourself something to eat and to drink. Let's go climb us a mountain, fix us a ship.
I also apologize. There, it was a really good night of sleep. I may have eaten the pillow you let me borrow.
That's fine.
Thank you.
Just keep it.
I will. Dove.
Some hot cider to get it down.
That would be nice. Dove, how did you and Nora meet?
It was a long time ago. It was wild circumstances. I don't know how much traveling around farmers do to learn their trade. I imagine it's a pretty sedentary lifestyle, but and you're a smith and you want to grow your skill, you have to at some point decide that making horseshoes and fixing people's hoes is not gonna do that. So you gotta take to the road and travel, see the world, see what people are doing other places, train. And I set out hoping to discover the single most important thing I thought I would ever find in my life. All these smiths, all these skills. And what I did was find something far greater. And I brought her back here with me. Now here we are. She's still putting up with me. You know, years down the line, gave me a beautiful son. Keeps me in line.
So it's a big task, I can assume, keeping somebody like that here. If I know anything about her sister.
Well, I was going to say, you wouldn't know, wouldn't you? So how come she's not, how come the two of you ain't back at your homestead planting turnips or whatever it is that you grew back there?
Violet's at the top of the stairs, like holding 80 and Mirror back.
I don't know. I never was good at fixing hose.
Well, no, but your job's to break them. My job's to fix them.
Maybe that's probably why you have the life you have, and I'm still searching.
Well, I will say that I got lucky and I got, the more even-tempered one.
I thank you so much for saying that. I didn't want to be the one to come out and say it, but yes, it seems so.
So what is it like? Absolutely not a thing anymore, you and her? Or because I gotta tell you, I never heard of you before. So, and it's not like I talk with her, regularly, but we saw her at some point, and there was no mention. So not to hurt your feelings or anything.
No, I mean, I think that's probably the reason why I'm not as lucky as you are.
It's not luck, man. It's just hard work and dedication. The luck part is finding them. Yeah. The luck part's finding them. Keeping them, that's where the hard work and the dedication comes in.
Well, I guess I wasn't working hard enough because, yeah.
It's never too late. My dad always said best day to start a tough job was yesterday. Second best day is today.
What is today but yesterday's tomorrow? Same thing.
Okay, wow, like my head's spinning right now. Sit down and eat some bacon, would you?
As you say that, the side door to the kitchen opens and Ren comes walking in. She just kind of glances around the room, sees the two of you. She glances towards the stairs, squints her eyes, gets a kind of perplexed look upon her face. Why the hell is everybody standing at the top of the stairs?
They're being nosy.
You can come down now. We're done talking.
Oh, I don't know what you're talking about. Just got out of bed.
Children. They're like children. You noticed that, right?
Oh.
You don't have a whole lot of room to talk there, dwarf boy.
What?
I figure I've got at least 2 centuries on you.
Okay.
At a minimum.
But you seem to be like mature. The other ones are a little kind of green. No?
Why is it so tense in here all of a sudden?
I was just telling Brent
I have that effect on people. Anyway, smells delicious. We should probably get going, by the way.
Probably.
I've been keeping an eye on some things, and the Inquisitors seem to be moving through the city with a bit more urgency than they were yesterday. I picked up a few whispers that there's a hunt happening, and I'd rather not get involved in something like that.
Activity always picks up a bit because no matter how careful we are with our secrets. You know, there's always someone somewhere who's blabbing just a little bit too much to their third cousin or some woman they just met in an inn, and word gets around. So they always get a little antsy whenever we got something going on, which is why once in a while we pretend that we have something going on and we got nothing going on, and we watch them run around like chickens without heads for a whole weekend. It's great.
Smart. I did hear
Hey, kids,
a name.
you coming down or what's going on?
I did hear a name, and I'm gonna say it, and I want to know what your reaction is when I say it. Kelanun.
I don't have a reaction.
It's not about Kellanen.
Apparently, he's in town somewhere.
Well then. Time to go.
Yeah. I think Bren tilt in his chair, does the dad tilt back. All right, let's go. It's like one of those.
You can eat on the road. Let's get going. You can see that he's got just an ounce more, furrowed brow now. He's packing up some food and some stuff for everyone.
As you're doing that, I'm assuming Sisk had come down with everybody else, Phelan as well. Phelan kind of leans over to Mira and just whispers into her ear, hopefully so that no one else can hear, but probably more than a few of you can. Should we be worried right now?
Not urgently, but a little.
Okay. All right. I just remember the last time we went up to a mountaintop and somebody of great magical power was around,
Yeah. And Kelanun is worse than Chokrin was, so I think the faster we leave, the better.
Yeah, I agree with that. Let's go then. And you see them kind of reach down and squeeze their leg and knee a little bit and start mustering their way forward. As you all gather yourselves up and start making your way across the city of Cyreneth, Ren takes the lead, but you can tell that she is tense, perhaps more tense than normal. Certainly Violet can see the difficulties that she is having just with the sheer volume of people present. Eventually, you find your way to the streets of the Pilgrim's Ward, and you can see that there is no exception here. The people making their way to and from the towering Temple of Ascension, above all else, is unfathomable, actually. The closest thing that any of you can correlate is perhaps Mira and going to and from school back in Orlestrin. It feels similar to that, but none of these people are attending a place of higher education. They're all going to pray. Monks and pilgrims at various places in the ward have their heads bowed in prayer. You see occasionally lighting of candles at the feet of statues, or offering coins into various donation tithe buckets. Everywhere that you move, there's a bit of a murmur from people seeking solace or answers to whatever questions they find themselves facing this day. There's also a faint aroma of incense in the air. Near to the steps of a temple. You're not quite sure who it's to yet. You see a bit of a crowd gathered ahead, and Dren starts to divert a lot of you. It's a little bit difficult to move as a succinct group, so you all kind of end up spreading out just a hair. And 80 notices first this crowd that is gathered at the center of them. She can see 2 Nostromo Inquisitors. Their unmistakable crimson cloaks, standing rigid over what appears to be a small group of commoners seated on the ground. You see one of them, a woman, clutching a small child to her chest, and the taller of the 2 Inquisitors leans closer, and all of you can hear clearly, in a voice meant to intimidate. You understand harboring the cursed means for you and your family, don't you? There's a bit of a murmur that grows through the crowd. You hear a few voices of protest, but not loud enough to actually draw any particular intention, perhaps unwilling to make themselves the focus of the Inquisitors. As the man that had intimidated the woman stands to his full height, you see his hand resting dangerously on the hilt of one of his swords, and he starts speaking again, more loudly, seemingly not necessarily just directed at the handful of people on the ground, but also at everyone that is gathered. We have reports of someone hiding among you, using their unnatural gifts. And his gaze kind of sweeps across not only the group, but also the gathered people. No one seems to have noticed any of you yet. But I'm curious, do any of you do anything at this moment? As you're passing by, witnessing all of this.
I actually tried to make sure no one's doing anything. I'll turn around and I'll give everyone the look. Keep your heads low. Keep moving.
Mira would put herself between the Inquisitors and 80 and try and shield her from view a little bit.
Mira would feel that 80 is just the tiniest bit pissed off.
And by tiniest bit, horrifyingly angry?
She is very angry.
You don't win a war by fighting every battle willy-nilly.
Violet will put her hood up, look down, and keep going.
Act normal.
I think Sisk. So I had envisioned Sisk at being outside when everyone would come out to meet them, so that they really didn't hear about Kellenan being here at all. But in this instance, seeing the cloaked Nostromo, they've already melted away from the crowd. Like, they're up a couple of blocks. They're not taking this risk right now.
Ian?
Red kind of lingers a little bit, just to kind of see if for some reason one of the Inquisitor decides to get tough.
Violet will grab your arm and pull you along.
Oh.
You gotta think about Taryn. You gotta keep going.
As Violet
Turns and walks.
grabs Bren's arm, Bren, you see the situation is obviously escalating, but there's a ripple of people across to on the other side of the cleared space where the peasants and the Nostromo are standing at the center of. and you see a man step forward. He is fairly tall, not quite as tall perhaps as the Inquisitors. His height mostly comes from his stature. He carries himself with his shoulders back, his head held high, his spine straight, and he moves with a simple grace about him. And his robes flow around him with each step. And he's coming from the temple, it would seem. His face is pure serenity, but you can tell quite clearly, Bren, that there's a bit of urgency in his eyes. And as he steps forward, he raises his single hand in a gesture of peace and starts moving directly towards the Inquisitors, seemingly inserting himself in between the Inquisitors and the frightened common folk.
Brothers, please. This is a place of peace and worship. Surely we can settle these matters without fear or accusation.
The Inquisitors kind of glance back and forth between each other, and you can tell clearly that at this man's presence, the crowd bolsters. Some of those voices that had been perhaps a bit subdued in their protestation become loud enough to be heard by everyone. And the man, the obvious clergyman, holds the gaze of the Inquisitors, does not falter. As it continues, he says,
There is no need for violence. Let us find a more appropriate setting to discuss your concerns. These people,
as he gestures to the common folk,
they come to pray. The light of Luniesh welcomes them. Perhaps we can save suspicion for another time.
the man from before, the Inquisitor that had spoken so harshly, hesitates. You can see he clutches the hilt of his blade. You're certain that if his hand were not gauntleted, his knuckles would be white.
Very well, Father Renauld. No, we will return when necessary.
And there's a staring contest for a moment between them, but the father does not falter. The Inquisitors look at him, seemingly trying to get the upper hand, knowing that they can't really. There's a tension. Whatever orders they might have had perhaps did not include causing some kind of riot. And they turn on the heels of their boots, begin to walk away. As they do, the crowd parts widely, letting them through. And they start walking towards you, Bryn. The crowd parts. I'm assuming that you move with. Don't stand in the way.
Oh, I thought they were parting like to me. Like,
no. You were along the part, and I'm asking if Bren also moves to the side like the rest.
Yeah.
As you do, they walk past, and there isn't any recognition or anything in their eyes, but you can see as one of the Inquisitors stares at you, attempting to stare you down. They're seemingly not used to people standing up to them. Your attention, however, as they move past, is drawn back to Father Renauld as he is helping the common folk up and begins speaking to them comforting words.
You are welcome in peace. You have nothing to fear today. Come, let us pray.
And as he moves with them, he stops for a moment. And his head drifts up, looking into the sun's sky above. And he turns and looks directly at you, Bryn. As you look away and look back, he just smiles. And he reaches up and you see him place a hand upon his holy symbol. 3 crescent moons, all aligned with one another. And he just bows his head to you, closing his eyes.
I return the bow out of respect, but deep confusion.
He looks up and he still has the soft smile on his face. And you see him make a gesture with his hand. You're not familiar much with Luniesh, but you do recognize that it's a simple, gesture, religious gesture. And he turns and begins escorting the people that he had saved back towards the temple. Violet, you're standing there with Bren, your hand still on his elbow, as he looks on in confusion.
What's that about?
I was going to ask you the same thing. You think that meant something?
No, religion's weird.
Should we...
Let's go.
Oh, all right.
What? You want to go follow them?
Could be fun.
Like Siska's like
time.
a kilometer down the...
Yeah.
We don't have time to waste with that. I don't know what that was, but it's not important. Let's get going.
All right.
For what it's worth, Dove, you do know Father Renaud. He is a well-respected high priest of Luniesh, and has long been an advocate for peace amongst those that would seek to do violence against the things that they do not understand, like the curse.
Yeah, I'll say he's a good guy, but we have other fish to fry.
Okay.
You all continue making your way out of Cyreneth. Takes a little bit longer than you had hoped. A few hours, at least, before you are trekking your way up the mountainside. As you continue this journey up the mountainside, you take rests where you can. High suns come. Some of you have a bit of trepidation. The encounter of the morning, feeling like you're on the verge of getting what you need, of the ship being fully right, being able to set on your journey properly. Beth, would you please make a charisma saving throw?
Yep. Dirty 20.
Dirty 20 is good. Speaking of good, Lord Gazumba with the raid. Welcome in, Raiders. Thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Thank you.
We have only just recently gotten into the action. Our intrepid crew of ne'er-do-well airship travelers are making their way back up the mountainside to their airship to hopefully get it fixed proper this time. As you are journeying up this mountain 80, you find that just as you are about to reach the region where you had left the airship, the little, not valley per se, but the little outcropping of stone hidden by a few buttresses of other rock formations, you find yourself getting a bit of a flashback. Last time you were heading up a mountainside, the events that took place. Tamp it down, but you can feel your anxiety level rising. You can feel your pulse quickening. And would say Mira could perhaps feel whatever emotions 80 has at this moment. You could tell her.
It would probably feel kind of confusing, because I think there still is that undercurrent of feeling just kind of right in this place generally. But I think you'll feel a lot of just the grief, fear, and just just a sense of memory that you might be familiar with.
Mira, do anything with this?
No. I think she glances over at 80 and squeezes her hand, but that's about all.
Okay. As you rise up to fairly close to the peak of the mountains, your ship comes into view. Resting where you had left it, hovering perhaps just a foot or two off the stone rock of the mountainside. Nothing seems amiss. Dove, you see this massively large vessel. You aren't sure what you expected, but it's safe to say that you were not expecting this.
So, there's our boat. That's it. That's our boat.
That thing flies?
Yeah, surprisingly. I know it's not much to look at. I mean, it's a lot of odds and ends that we had to put together, but yeah, we flew that. I almost said something else. We flew that here. We flew that sumbitch here.
So, can you riddle me something?
I'm not really good at riddles.
Which one of you knows how to fly this thing?
Phelan chimes
Yes.
up immediately and says, none of us know how to fly this thing.
I mean, I wouldn't. We
got it here.
learned. Bam.
Yeah, no, clearly you got it here, but I mean, it's not like a 2-horse wagon. This is like, the thing flies, right?
Mm-hmm.
Ren just has her arms crossed, waiting for all of you. You can see the strain of not demanding that everyone get on the fucking ship as she looks at you and says, yeah, we flew it. Can we get on with it now?
Whoa. Look, to quote a friend of mine, I'm a miracle man. You rush a miracle man, you get rotten miracles. So, just simmer down there. I got this. Don't worry.
I wouldn't. I don't know if that's.
She lifts her head and then she holds up a finger. Hang on a second. And she disappears into the ship.
Is this going to be a thing?
Yeah, honestly, I think this is probably a good sign for us to get on the ship. Yeah.
All right. Where's the ore? You got the ore?
Yeah, I have it in my bag.
You carried the ore with you?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, show me the beast.
She'll reach into her bag of holding, and struggle to pull it out.
You
I'll take
see
it from
her. You see her pull out about 20 pounds of lunar ore. Certainly
Why did you
more than
carry
you've
this
ever
with
seen.
you? But why don't you just leave it here?
I'd rather hold on to it. I don't know. I don't want to lose it. I'm gonna keep it on me. It's safer on me than anywhere else.
You'll leave the ship here, but you'll get just work smarter, not harder.
And she'll just storm off.
As
I would
you
appreciate
storm
it if
off,
you didn't berate my team, please.
Did you say team or teen?
Bryn equally storms off.
as a lot of storming off happens, Dove, you know that you can't actually work the steel during daylight. It has to be done under moonlight. But there's still a lot to do. You have to check out this workstation area that they talked about. You have to set up some kind of a coal forge pit somewhere. There's a lot of other things that have to be done. But before you can get to all of that, you all start to smell like something baking. Something's burning.
I'd start running towards the ship, just like, oh no!
As you all head inside of the ship, the initial shock of whatever worst thoughts might have been transpiring in your head change and turn to perhaps confusion, perhaps joy. You're not entirely sure yet as you venture your way into the galley and you see Oriana standing there in one of Violet's cook's aprons, carrying a tray of freshly baked pecan cookies.
Thank heavens.
As she stands there, you see Tig standing off to one side with several plates more of cookies with a shaker just shaking what appears to be powdered sugar all over the top of them. They both stop and stare at you as everyone kind of finds themselves in the galley. You hear Oriana, oh. And she looks at Dove, this very, very confused expression on her face. I thought you might be bringing back someone a bit younger. Anyway, I guess I was a little bit off. But you all will enjoy these, right? Tig was actually very helpful in helping me figure out all of these things. As she gestures to the various implements within the kitchen.
Is Oriana strange to me, or?
Oh yeah, she's really strange to you. She's blue skin. She has eyeballs in various places on her body that are not natural. You've never seen this woman before in your life.
I sidle up to Mira. Because I wanted to say 80, and I wanted to say Mira, and I said Miri. It's kind of like death, you know? It's literally what happened.
It happens in real life. It happens in virtual life.
I was like, 80, no, Miri, no, that's right. Saddle up to, which one's which? Saddle up to 80, actually.
And now he just, okay.
Hey, can I ask you a question?
Yeah, sure.
Is she okay?
Oriana?
Yeah, she always looks like this. I'm not judging. Understand? I'm just, like. No, I'm just like, is she all right? Like, she looks like.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. That's cool. It's all good.
To be fair, she was not all right very recently, but that's better now. But yes, this is how she is. And could you just like cool it with that shit?
Well, what?
As you say that, Oriana literally just walks right over to the two of you carrying this tray of very, very warm cookies.
Oriana,
would you like one?
I hear.
Yes.
Pleasure to meet you. My name's Dove.
Nice to meet you too, Cookie.
Yeah, these cookies look absolutely amazing. Is this the first time you make cookies?
These cookies, yes.
Excellent. I'll take one. I'll bravely eat some.
80 takes 4 immediately.
They are delicious, in fact. Loaded with pecans.
They are delicious.
Loaded with pecans, fair bit of sugar in there too. And
that's very good. Very good.
Dove, you are immediately reminded that these are pretty close, not quite the same, but pretty close to Taryn's favorite cookie.
Do you mind if I take a couple for my son? I think he would love these.
Oh, you have a son.
I
That
do.
explains it.
That explains what?
Nothing.
I'm sorry.
I'll make sure and get I'll have a bag of at least a dozen or two ready.
Oh, just 2 or 3. He's had enough sugar already, and I throw Brenda.
Right, 2 or 3 dozen.
side
Got
glance.
it. Yes, I'll make sure. Don't worry.
What is it with you people and sugar?
As she turns and just walks away and starts like handing out cookies to all of the rest of you as well.
Life's blood.
All right, so who can do what here? I'm gonna need some help with this. I know 80 can work a fort, so 80, you're my right-hand person, all right?
Excellent.
Now, who else can do what?
What do you need?
Well, and I start listing off everything we're going to need. We're going to need a cold forge build. We're going to need to lay out some of the materials that we're doing. We're going to need, and I start going through this list.
As Dove goes through everything, all of you immediately understand that this is very much a group project. This is not something that is quite so simple, nor did any of you really expect it to be simple. You set to work. The tasks assigned to each of you at various points, difficult to say the least, but you managed to, thankfully under a lot of guidance from Dove, manage to start sorting through things. As the suns begin to dip lower into the sky, you all set to work. You have to do a lot of preparing of the space, and the air around you, this mountainside air, cools quickly. The late afternoon rays of light begin to cast long shadows across the rocks, marking the start of a very, very long night ahead. With careful hands, you each begin to work. Setting up the charcoal pit for the forge requires a bit of digging into the ground, getting the coal together, kindling, setting up a bellows. Nearby, Dove begins to examine the arcanic engine. Getting down into the belly of the ship, you can almost feel the power of it humming underneath your touch. You note where the harness is to be set. You are immediately shocked physically at several places where a jolt of magic ripples through and snags your hand. You can see the reinforced brackets and the enchanted conduits with their runic markings. This is an incredible amount of elemental energy that is going to be coursing through this. You check your measurements once again. Your plans that you had drawn up based on the plans that were in the other language are pretty accurate, but there isn't much room for error here. The rest of you get to setting up under 80's attention a workbench, taking some pieces from the ship's workshop, moving them out near to the pit that some of you are digging up. Laying out some sturdy wooden planks, creating a makeshift workbench, assembling tools that Dove brought with him, as well as tools from the workshop of the ship. You drag out the small but sized well enough anvil from the bowels of the ship. And as everything begins to resemble a proper outdoor smithy, albeit rough, the suns begin to set. The light of the moons replaces the orange and yellow hues of the day with purple and white. Lunarin is a new moon tonight, so its blue light is not cast very brightly. But as the wind whistles through the rocky outcropping around you, you can see clearly the light of Lunara commanding the night. Nearly full, its white glow illuminates everything beautifully. Creates a soft, steady brilliance for where you work. And work you do. Dove begins starting the forging process. Lunar steel is not easy. It's not for the faint of heart. And as it begins to glow in the forge, and as you pull it from the forge, glowing white hot, striking it down with your hammer, Dove, drawing out the steel, it seems to shine brighter and more pure with every blow. The normal grime and debris that settles upon steel when you strike it, cooling, that happens just from having it upon the forge doesn't happen here. It becomes very challenging as it seems to heat up even more with every strike. You can tell clearly that the moon's work is necessary for this. Each of you joins at various points, assisting 80 predominantly, but occasionally some of you might have to handle a bellows or change out a hammer quickly. It's rigorous work. But bit by bit, the metal comes together. This blending of force and finesse, until finally, Dove rests his hammer and lets the forge begin to cool. You hold up this large lunar steel harness before you, still blazing white hot. You're almost not sure if the pit of oil that you had set up to quench is going to come close to cooling it enough. But the sweat on your brow says that you don't have much choice. Your arms ache, and you lift the harness and dip it into the oil. There's a hissing sound that all of you hear, loud, but along with it, you can almost feel a ripple of force project through the air and land upon each of you. As Dove lifts the harness out of the oil, it seems to drip and fall away, unlike anything that he has ever seen as a blacksmith. There's a brilliant sheen of blue, purple, and white across the various layers of the steel. You don't need to clean it. It's almost as if the oil was absorbed into, and then any excess was thrown away by the very steel itself. Dove, you are exhausted from the work. At this point, you're not sure how much passed, but it is definitely past high moon's rise. Light of the moons is still brilliant upon everyone and everything. But you know that there's still more to be done. With the harness complete, all of you gather around the arcanic engine. At this point, its usual hum is silenced as you have it entirely shut down. Safety and all. There's a stillness inside that is almost unsettling. It's a pretty stark contrast to the chaotic energy that you all have become accustomed to in the engine room. The air feels tense. It's almost like the ship itself is holding its breath, waiting. Sisk, you inspect the harness one last time. Your keen eyes trace the intricate patterns that Dove forged. And with a nod, you begin the careful process of fitting it into place. Your hands are steady despite the strain, but it is still difficult. The harness has to align perfectly. Tig steps forward. His unwavering strength holds the harness steady, and he moves with a mechanical precision. You can all tell that this new form of Tig's is unlike what he had before. There's a more assuredness to him now. And slowly but surely, every piece, every bolt, clasp, are all carefully adjusted under Sisk's watchful gaze. Meanwhile, the rest of you, not idly sitting, no, because you can feel the power of the engine rippling. Even in this off state, you have to exert small magical adjustments to the air to keep things in control. Mira and 80, you probably find this the most stressful at this point, as random magical bursts seem to emanate from the various conduits of the engine room. But you stabilize it nonetheless. An exhausted Dove, you sit back and watch. The magic is perhaps a little more beyond your ken than anything you're accustomed to. And you're also very thoroughly exhausted. But as you watch the crew, careful, practiced, they seem to move together beautifully. Each of them seems to read the other as if they've known each other for a very long time. You wish that your apprentices could move in such unison. And finally, with a soft click, the last clasp locks into place, and the harness sits snugly around the engine. The harness gleams under the light of the room, and there's a moment where no one says anything, no one moves. And then Sisk turns and nods to Mira, signaling for her to reawaken the engine. She hesitates, hand hovering over the control for a bit longer than it should be. Ren reaches out, places his hand with hers, just presses the control forward. You all immediately feel a deep, resonant hum fill the room as the arcanic engine stirs to life. The chaos from before, the crackling, the bursts of elemental force that you had all experienced, Violet, you more than anyone probably cringe, recoil, preparing for some burst of power that will fling you from the room. But no. All of that elemental chaos is gone now. It's replaced by a steadiness, a calm flow of energy that pulses rhythmically, like a heartbeat. The glow of the engine is no longer wild, but serene, powerful, as a soft glimmer fills the room. 80, you can't help but feel a strange sensation wash over you, almost like a whisper. It's a feeling of relief, like a burden being lifted, and this quiet, unspoken joy that seems to resonate from everywhere, the very walls of the ship even. It's not just the hum of the engine, but it's in everything. You lean over and place a hand upon the side of the ship. You can feel the smooth wood beneath your fingertips. More than that, you feel gratitude. For the first time in months, there is peace in the heart of the ship. All of you collectively let loose a sigh of relief as you stand there for several long moments. What would you like to do?
I wanted to do something before all this started, which I wanted to specify that anything that that Dove does during this entire time, he does in a way that shows the others what he's doing and is explaining why and how he's doing it, so that if ever at some point when he's not around they have to do some work on this, they'll have picked up at least some stuff. So, he's always explaining what he's doing, and he's always kind of, making sure someone sees what he's doing. He's not like trying to hoard secrets or anything like that.
Okay.
And I think when all that kind of happens, he'll be like, well, there you go. Job well done. Just start picking up his tools.
As you all see him picking up his tools, bearing in mind that he's going on quite a long time with minimal sleep and significant amount of exertion, you can see Dove straining harshly, picking everything up.
I'll run over and help him in any way I can.
Oh, hey, thanks. Yeah, if you could grab those things over there and just wrap them up in that oilcloth and...
You got it.
Bring it over here. I think I might just grab a little nap, like an hour or so before I head down. If that's okay with y'all, do you mind waiting up a little hour before flying this thing out of here?
Yeah, I don't think we're leaving right away.
Yeah, no, you take your time. You get some rest.
Yeah, you can sleep here if you want to.
That'd be great. How about right here? And he falls. And he starts to snore.
Amira, could you send a squirrel to Nora and tell her that Dove is safe? He just passed out.
Technically he still has at least another 12, 15, 18 hours before he's supposed to be home.
Oh. Never mind, Mira. I think he'll be okay.
Mira's been scribbling down notes from everything that's just been happening, and it takes a bit for Brent's voice to break through her focus, and she's just, huh? What?
Nothing. Thinking out loud. Sorry.
Okay. She just goes back to taking notes.
go
I got somebody who's
Violet.
taking notes. I have no idea what he's doing.
I think Sisk was also taking notes too, so I think we got a good range of information. Would you consider this kind of like downtime, Miko, a little bit?
Yeah. I mean, you all need to find, you're all very tired. You need to find pillows soon. Particularly if you are going to be heading back into the city at all before.
Here, we'll leave this one on the floor and then, of course, mirror to our thoughts. Why don't you two come with me to the kitchen and I'll make us some tea or something real quick. I had a thought I wanted to share with you both.
Sounds good.
Yeah. You go into the kitchen to start boiling water, what have you, kind of sit down at the table. You know,
I'm assuming that was directed at Violet and 80.
Yeah.
Okay. Just making sure I'm following.
You know, starts boiling tea, whatever, hands glasses. We're sitting at the table. You know, a couple people have been asking like what we're gonna name this thing, and I haven't. So Ren, before we took off here, came up to me and they were talking to me about, you know, everyone's responsibilities on the ship and what have you, and Ren had the silliest idea of, you know, she said this group needs a captain and I don't see any person better for the job than yourself. And I kind of chuckled it off, but I didn't really mention it to anybody because it seemed a little bit like, look at me, I'm the captain. It's not really, you know.
Do you want to be the captain?
No, but I don't know. Like, it'd be kind of cool, but I don't think it's something for me to decide.
I don't think you're going to get much pushback, but we could, you know, bring it to the group. 80 will look over at Violet like,
I mean, you are the oldest, so makes sense.
Thanks. Leadership by age. I get it. Makes sense.
Red,
Ren just kind of moves out from a corner that you never saw she was standing in and starts making her way up. Yeah, I got a few centuries on him too, and then disappears up the ladder.
But like you're not closer to death than him, so.
Anyway, jeez,
A little dark.
kid. Wow. I remember Mira and Sis when they were looking at some of the text that the ship has a name, the Aurora's Explorer.
Yeah,
A mouthful.
It is. I don't know. I was thinking about it. I mean, we can keep it as that, but everything here kind of reminds me of an old story when I was younger. My dad used to tell me. There were two people who were in love, and they really couldn't stand to be apart, and that struck a bit of jealousy inside of an old mage. And so, with all of their jealousy and their powers, they used it to separate them. And one of them, anytime they went looking for the other one, it kept growing dark. And when the other one in turn tried to look for them, they could only reach out to a distant light. Some people relate that to the sun and moon. The moon always chasing the sun, following its light, and the moon following, or the sun following behind, venturing into the darkness of the unknown. I don't know why. It kind of feels similar. Like we're chasing something. Maybe like something over the next horizon. So I was thinking, maybe something along the lines of like Sun Chaser, or, you know, I don't know, something like that. I was giving it some thought.
think whatever name you choose sounds great, Cap.
Well, it's not just me. There's everyone else here. I'm not captain yet. Everyone hasn't agreed. But it just felt like
Captain.
Wait a second, isn't the ship sentient? Shouldn't we ask them what their name is?
Yeah, we can do that too. It's just the other one seems, I mean, we can, if it likes that name, we can keep it that, but it just seems really like the Aurorus Explorer. We're not those people.
Yeah,
It's
we
a
have no
good
idea
name,
what we're
though.
doing.
Yeah, no, it's a good name though, but it fits that group. It doesn't really fit us. If anything, I'd call this thing the Sky Rat. That's just, but it may be a little disrespectful to the engine.
I really
you,
like the Sky Rat.
Sorry. I was just asking if you were in the same room as Dove.
No, we went out of the engine room to the kitchen. I don't know. Maybe ask your sister. She's better at these things.
Than us?
Well, yeah, because we're gonna come up with something like Sky Rat or I don't know, Cannonball Run, something weird. Like, kind of like Cannonball Run.
I really like Cannonball Run.
That's actually a really great name.
Yeah. I also had a lot of other ones too. I had Sir Radiant Wave, Ember Glade, the Blaze Voyager, Mystic Horizon. I like this next one, Thunder Wave. It's with an A, not an ER. That's pretty cool too. But I don't know, Sun Chaser kind of stayed on me. We don't have to. Like, it's just a silly story. It's just really nice talking to the both of you without imminent danger.
I think it's a great name. And we can ask the rest of the group, we can ask the engine itself, but I mean, we can always have a nickname for it if nothing else.
Yeah, the Sky Rat.
Oh boy.
I really like the Sky Rat.
I hate that I love it so much.
It fits, like, surprisingly. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know.
I know Bandit is somewhere on the ship somewhere. I'm sure he'd like it too.
Yeah. Are you guys okay?
Sure.
Come on. Are we okay? All right. Well, you two, you stay here. Rest your legs. Rest those hands, 80. You killed it out there. I learned a lot from you today just watching you work, and it was extremely impressive. And I'm very proud of what you did. It was amazing.
Thanks.
Absolutely. You two stay here, finish your tea. I'm gonna go outside for a little bit. No, I'm gonna go check on Dove. He's probably drooling on the floor. Just get up and leave the table.
Well, that was absolutely precious.
He's totally gonna be the captain, eh?
Oh, he already is. He already was. It's not a question. Do you think he wrote down names in a little notebook?
Absolutely.
Oh my God.
How else would he remember all of them?
That is true. Yeah, that was the cutest thing that's happened in quite a while. Wow. Okay. I'm gonna hold on to that for a bit.
How are you doing, 80? Feels like we haven't talked in a while.
Yeah, we haven't. Things have been so confusing lately. I feel kind of bad. There's something about this place that has felt just really energizing, and I feel kind of bad because I feel like I should still feel really shitty, and I kind of do. Things are not perfect right now, but I don't know. There's something about the energy here, and I really liked working with Dove, and I don't know. I just felt useful. which,
That's good. Yeah, that's okay.
nice.
It's, it's good that you're feeling better, and it's okay to feel good. I want to apologize and say sorry for, I don't know. I feel like I wasn't around for you and Mira when stuff happened with your mom, and you guys were there for me with Fig and everything, and I just feel really shitty about that.
Everything happened so fast. And it wasn't just one thing. A lot went down in that blink of an eye, and it was a lot for everybody. So I'm not upset with you. I'm not. And I know that you're here.
Thanks. I appreciate that.
Yeah. How are you doing?
Oh, I'm just being. I'm just surviving. I don't know. It's been weird. It's like you're saying, a lot. It's happening really fast, and then you got a bit of a breather at Doves, but then it feels like we're moving fast again, and it's really hard. I don't know.
I mean, at least we're all still together. I don't really know what we're doing. I don't think most of us know, but I think it's something we can figure out. Hopefully.
Yeah. Are we okay?
Yeah. Yes, we're okay. And she'll just give Vi a big hug.
We'll make it back.
Did you have any of those cookies that Oriana made? Because they're fucking amazing.
No, I haven't, but I'll try one.
I think you'll
It's
really
weird
like it.
Everybody here bakes. It's crazy.
I know. I'm not mad about it. I think it's the best thing.
Is Mira okay?
I don't think so. She's doing, the Mira thing. She sort of processes and then gets really busy and distracted doing other things. And you kind of can't pull her out of it because it's all very important and things need to be done. And she seems to be, one of the only people capable of doing these things. So I don't know. She's holding it together like she always does. But I just, I don't know how long that'll hold.
Is there anything we can do for her?
Maybe just, I don't know. It's hard to do, but if we can take some of the burden off of her, help her, just take care of her, I guess, when she's working too hard, and I don't know, need some tea, or yell at her to stop working and go to sleep, or shit like that, You can be mean to her. I'm telling you, you're allowed to be. That's, it's for her own good.
Okay. I'll be mean. And you can comfort her with tea and cookies, and we'll tag team.
Just bully her. That's the best thing you can do.
Means I can't bully Phelan.
You can bully Phelan. You can bully everybody. You're really,
I can't bully both of them.
Yes, you can. Do it.
I'm glad that we're okay.
Me too.
Go bully Mira.
Have fun.
If I could, that entire interaction, like Bryn was standing in like whatever little bit of hallway, like peeking in before walking into the engine room, and he smiles and he goes, "That's 2 down, 1 more to go." And he walks into the engine room with Mira, and I assume they're still feverishly writing down notes. Yeah. Bryn walks in and he's just like, "Oh,
if I could
geez."
interrupt, hang on, before you do that, I need to
100%.
ask, where is Sisk post the harness being completed and everything being okay? What does Sisk do at the end of all of that experience? Right
I
now,
see.
just so you are aware,
Yeah, sorry.
in the engine room, Dove is unconscious on the floor,
Okay.
willfully unconscious. He chose to fall asleep there, and Mira is busily scribbling all manner of things into her book.
I'm probably. I think I haven't eaten much, so I think I'm having a snack in the kind of
Okay. The galley.
mess hall galley. Yeah.
Yeah. So, you got to see from a back corner all of that interaction between Violet and 80. Just wanted to see if Sisk was in the engine room before you made your way in, Ian.
Please, rein me in at any time, because I will shenanigan. Walks into the engine room, sees Mira scribbling, and he really puts it on. That old man, he's just like, "Oh man, whew, I haven't. It's been a minute since I've had to work that hard. How are you?"
Sorry, I'm really trying to catch as much of this as I can before we, lose Dove back to his own life.
Well, it's honestly, thank you for doing that, because I'm pretty sure we're gonna need it later on. I'm sorry, my hands are cramping really bad. Can you hold this cup for me?
Sure.
Thanks. Here, I'll trade you. He grabs your pencil and your notebook, and he hands you a cup of very hot tea. He doesn't. He's just like, here, just hold that for me.
Sure.
Oh man! Opens it up, looks at your book of notes, and he's just like, "Wow, yeah, you're very detailed." And he picks up your pencil, and he's just like, "This was bigger a while ago."
It sure was.
Oh. What do you do with it after I guess it's down to the end?
Get another one?
Oh. I guess once this one outweighs its usefulness, right? You just get a new one.
Yeah.
Oh. It's a little sad though, don't you think about it, right? I'm just saying.
What?
I'm just saying, you use it and then you whittle it down and it's almost to its wit's end, and then poof, you just replace it with something else.
What it's for? Sure, it's sad. Yes, very.
I guess what I'm saying is that, you don't want to burn out your resources. And your energy is the biggest one. It's crazy.
She grouchily sips the tea.
Yeah. I don't know. Has he still been knocked out this whole time?
Snoring away.
Yeah. Oh well. I guess we'll leave him to it. You hold on to that for me. Breathe for a little bit. And he walks away, still holding your book in pencil.
Guess I'll get that back later. Like, wander out of the engine room after him slowly, because
Mira, make a perception check at disadvantage, please.
Perception. 10.
You have an advantage if you wanted to use it. I'm giving you that time, that moment of opportunity. You don't have to, though.
Why not? It's there. Nope, worse. 10.
10. Okay. As Mira is leaving the engine room, hot mug of tea in her hand, she catches some movement out of the corner of her eye, and she turns and looks. And there's... closest thing that I can describe it is it's almost like a localized aurora borealis effect that the engine puts off when it's in this actually functioning, not chaotic, about to blow up state. And it's very serene and it's very calming, and it's brilliant in its display. And just out of the corner of her eye, she catches a little bit of movement inside of that borealis. And for the briefest of moments, as she stops and turns and looks back, she thinks she sees a face. But just as quickly as she turned to see if she could focus her eyes upon it, it disappears into the magical effect again.
You must be more tired than I thought. Oh boy. Okay. I'll like wander off.
I'd like to wander to Sisk. Gotta make sure all the chicks are good in the pen.
Hey, Captain.
Hey, bud.
Hi. How's it going?
Doing
I'm
good.
assuming Violet and 80 have departed the galley at this point.
Yep.
Is Sisk like Sisk, or are they like...
I think Sisk is Sisk right now, because they did show themselves to Dove. Dove tabled it for later, but yeah, so I think they're just themselves, and they're just kind of hunched over, eating little chunks of cheese and shit.
You doing all right?
Hey, I think so. Yeah, messed up with the square today. I wasn't expecting that, but
it's a big concern. It seems like this keeps following us.
Yeah.
How you doing with that?
I'm glad that we have the engine fixed now. I just hope that we can get out without drawing too much attention.
You're extremely smart. I'm sure you could figure something out. That's your wheelhouse, right? Getting in, getting out, undetected. It's not easy.
It's usually just myself, not a huge boat. But yeah, I'm trying to think about it. The girls are... I worry about them.
You know, the four of us are deeply better off that you're here. You know that, right?
I don't know about that. I'm worried. The Nostromo have been everywhere that I've been with you guys. They weren't around before. So
They were around. I just don't think we were that aware. But I'm 100% certain I speak for everybody that We prefer you here than anywhere else. I mean, come on, Sisk. We pulled you from the void.
Yeah, that was. God.
Yeah. I just don't want you to get yourself distracted with those thoughts, getting on yourself because it's not warranted. But I know it's easier said than done. But again, you're extremely smart and tactful and vital to anything that we do. And I think we're going to need that here in the coming days. And he slides Sisk the notebook and pencil from Mira. I don't know. Maybe distract yourself with something else, right?
Yeah.
If you need anything, make sure to tell me first, okay?
And you tell me.
I'm sure I won't have to. You'll figure it out anyway. Like I said, you're my best friend here. I gotta make sure you're good.
Thanks, Bran.
Well, I'm gonna go find my chair. Just kind of like
you drift
shuffles off.
You drift off in search of your chair, and you find Oriana curled up in it, in a nice neat little ball with like a blanket over top of her, just eyes closed, happily snoozing away.
I tuck them in. Like I just like, oh, okay. Make sure they're good. I'm pretty sure they're like nose deep in a book too. I gently slide the book and just kind of place it to the side.
Sure.
I guess I'll go sleep on the upper deck. It's a nice night.
As Bran makes his way to the upper deck of the ship, can't help but look up into the night sky. And as he sees the light of Lunara above, the moon still mostly full, the bright, brilliant white light of it cascading down onto the deck of the ship, he gets lost in the light of it. Probably the exhaustion setting in, maybe the emotional strains of everything that has been taking place, and kind of lose track. Eventually, though, morning comes for everyone. Whatever rest that you find in the evening goes well into the morning hours. The sun's light is already high in the sky at this point. Not quite high suns yet, but definitely mid-morning before anyone awakens. Dove, you find yourself still sleeping in the engine room. Somehow you have a pillow under your head. You don't know where it came from, but an actual pillow. There was a blanket on you, but you probably kicked that off because it's curled up in a ball at your feet at this point. But you awaken.
The thing still running?
Yep. Humming right along.
I think you'll go over some stuff and just double check things and make sure that everything's kind of tip top, and
give me an Arcana
just
check.
Give
me an Arcana check.
Wait, hold on. I have a character somewhere. Um, 13 plus 3, 16.
Okay. As far as you can tell, everything is working beautifully. But it also strikes you that at least 50% of the magical runes that you see around you, you have no earthly concept what they mean. The amount of arcana and engineering in this room staggers you. and somehow Sisk seemed to understand a good bit of it, and Mira was right on Sisk's heels.
I'm gonna stand back, my hands on my hips, and just kind of take it all in.
I think Sisk walks in. They have generally been sleeping in the engine room, and there's like a little hammock in there. So they jump into it with like a little thing of cheese and a little thing of like hardtack probably, and they're just like chewing away. So, how was your nap? How are you doing?
That was almost my last build. I'm an old man, you can't sneak up on me like that.
How old are you?
It's not a question you ask someone.
You brought it up.
How old are you?
At least 20, carry the 3. I think at least 43?
Okay, well, I got you beat.
Oh, okay.
So you're the one's going to keep this thing running?
I'm trying to. I have gotten some of it down, but...
How come you know all this stuff? You seen this before?
I mean, some of it. So, like... you might want to sit down for this. So, this is... The Imperium is not all there is. There are other places out there. And this ship and me, frankly, are from one of these other places.
Like another planet or some sort of like something out there in space, like one of the stars?
No, like across the water. There are whole other land masses, whole other city states and all sorts of places out there. And I wanna get back there. Being in the Imperium has sucked, especially for blue people like me and Oriana. But
And it's better wherever you come from?
I mean, everywhere has, their pros and cons. They're good and bad. The people, the culture is all different. But I think there are definitely other places and places that I've been where the day-to-day is better overall. Places where, so you guys have the cursed, there are places where magic is king. Magic is what controls the land, but there are also places where magic is used super casually. You can have little light shows, you can have, there are all sorts of experiences out there. Not just the Imperium, but the Nostromo and their...
And that's where you're going to fly?
That's the hope, yeah. Get out of here, really. I'm trying to get away from the Nostromo too, and
tell me there's nothing like that anywhere else. Like where you come from, people are all happy and...
Well, there are definitely some places where people like me, and I don't want to make any assumptions, but perhaps people like you, where we are oppressed and rallied against, mobbed against, but there are so many other places.
Sounds dreamy.
Hey, something to live for.
And what do you others think about that, about leaving this place behind? I'm guessing some of them have families or lives here. Is everyone running away from something, or?
Well, I think most people are running away from something. the twins have family here, but things have been strained. The Violet is pretty much alone right now, although we do have her aunt traveling with us, which I think has been good for her. Bren, as far as we know, is pretty alone as well. And I'm not from here, so...
How did you get here?
I remember waking up kind of along a coastline, and then...
But you know that's impossible, right? You certainly didn't come here by boat.
What if I came here like this?
No, but what I'm saying is that you didn't come here by accident. You had to have been brought here.
I don't know if it was ascendant led. I'm not sure how I got here. Where was I last? I think I was in Zestrom last, and
Never heard of it.
I know you haven't heard of it, but you know, I'm not sure what led up to here. And then when I was here, I was found by someone high up in the clergy.
But do you think there's a chance you came here for a reason? Like maybe there was something you were trying to get away from back there?
I think I had, as my personas, I had a okay reputation.
Just saying it's not easy to come here. So there was work involved. So either you put in that work or someone put in that work for you.
Shit. I wouldn't be surprised if Kellanun has some connections outside of...
So how come you know Kellanun then if you're not from here?
He was the one who found me. I was kind of under his thrall for a few years. Did a bunch of things I'm not proud of. And
so is everybody.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that, you know, you might want to look into that before you go rushing back.
That's true.
Nothing like, you know, realizing you just jumped out of the frying pan into the fire and jumping right back into the frying pan.
That's true. I don't know. I am interested in this rebellion, and I know as much as Violet, I think Violet is interested in it as well, but I think she is, you know, I think it would help. I think it will help me get over Kellanun and hopefully deal with how I even got here. But I think Violet is not interested really in becoming part of the rebellion, because I think her dad, Reed, is involved too. But I think we're all pretty much on the same page with that.
Violet is Reed's child.
Yeah. He wasn't very sweet with her, let's just say.
Is that so? Yeah, I met him once. Long time ago. I was kind of impressed by him, really. He had this sense of conviction and a sense of clarity and dedication to what he was doing. I guess someone with that kind of dedication and clarity of vision about something might fall short in other departments, such as child rearing.
Mm-hmm. I'd say so.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah.
You guys can smell the aroma of things cooking in the galley. filtering down the
Wherever-
hallway to the engine room.
Wherever you end up, Sisk, I hope it is better than where you're leaving from, regardless of where that is.
Thanks.
And now good luck taking care of all this. I left you a few tools and a few things you didn't have there that I think might be useful. So.
Oh my goodness, thank you. Can I give you some gold for that, or?
No, you couldn't tell me, and I point to some of the runes. Do you know these? Do you understand these?
Have I kind of figured out what the?
Yeah, you figured out
ones
most
are?
everything. There's a few that you probably still are a little hazy on, but yeah.
All right. Well, you didn't tell me all about it over breakfast.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I'm sure Mira would want to. Well, Mira is.
Which one's Mira?
Follow me, but the smart one. Sisk starts laughing in hysterics because they're now afraid.
I'll try to remember that to tell them apart.
She didn't say the cute one. You head towards the galley. Is Violet cooking breakfast this morning?
Yeah, sure.
What is Violet making?
I don't know. Do we got other things? Probably just tater tots, eggs, and sausage.
Brilliant. So yeah, you all sit down. You come in at slightly different times, but more or less around the same time. Eventually finding yourselves all gathered up and enjoying a good breakfast. Still a bit tired, perhaps. It's getting closer to high suns at this point, so noon. But hungry and certainly less tired than you were the night before.
You all about ready to leave?
Did you eat first?
You know, I hate to be the kind of dwarf who do a guy a favor and then right away hit up that guy for another favor. But think you could spare a few hours?
All of us?
Well, you know, I wouldn't force anyone to do anything.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we got the time.
Do you?
I mean, I do. I don't speak for everybody.
Yeah.
As you may or may not know, we have a big operation going on currently with the rebellion. A caravan, and we're trying to move some goods. What we saw this morning kind of made me a little nervous. I was kind of hoping I could enlist a lot of you to come and give us a hand with that.
What kind of caravan?
There it is.
What kind of caravan, Miko? I don't know what's in it.
It's mostly supplies, foodstuffs, building materials, a few weapons and armor, but not significant numbers of that. That's generally easy for the rebellion to come by. It's the large volume of things that people need to live that is the hardest thing to get to the sanctuary cities or sanctuary towns. So,
well, if you're worried that we're moving just a big shipment of arms, we ain't. A few odd bits and ends there been there, but for the most part, it's food and building materials. things that's a little harder to come by. It's going to make a lot of people's lives a lot easier. And what we saw this morning, I'm getting a little nervous that, well, there might be a little bit more heat than we expected. I gather from the time I've spent with you that you've been through a few things.
We dabbled in things.
Look, I'm not gonna force anyone to do anything here. Like I said, I hate to have to do a favor for you and then hit you right back. That wasn't my original plan. My original plan was just to fix this thing and get you on your way, but, well, you know, a lot of people's lives are at stake. And if I didn't put my own pride aside to ask for help that might make a difference, then I'd hate myself. So I'm not gonna force any of you to do anything, but if y'all could find it in yourselves to give a little hand before you fly off to wherever you're going next. You know, some of us will still be here fighting this when you guys are off flying the friendly skies.
Well, I think often one good turn deserves another, but I am curious to know what the catch is.
Well, I guess the catch is that you might die. But, you know, don't you wake up every morning thinking, hey, today might be the day I die? No, but it could happen.
Ren just speaks up from the corner. No, I don't think that.
No.
I wonder what I'm
not
killing
everyone.
on any given day.
Well, in any case, I'm going to leave it up to you. I am going to finish my breakfast here, and then I'm going to pack up my stuff and head back and go do my job. And if any of you want to follow along, that'd be great. And if not, well, I wish you the best of times flying the skies wherever you end up. And I hope that you find peace wherever you're going.
I think. I mean, I'm more than happy to help you out, Dev. I don't know how everybody else feels, but
Well, silence and long faces usually tells a pretty good story, so
You have my blades.
And
Where they
their
at?
hands are empty.
Okay.
it's a butter knife.
I don't really have to kill anybody right now for it, but I don't mind helping.
all right then. It's three of you. It's not bad.
You two, come on.
The twins
Yeah.
are just kind of looking at each other, waiting for one of them to speak for the other.
I mean, it's like a given. I didn't think we even had to yeah.
All
Yeah,
right,
Dove
then.
will help you.
Jeez.
Ren just kind of crosses her arms and seems her usual state of perturbed. Okay. Captain.
Can you imagine if it had been as hard to get me to help you as it was to get you to help me? Man, we'd still be in town.
Yeah, but
Pretty
it's
sure you
easier
gave
to
us a lot
convince
of
one.
shit.
It's easier to convince one person to do something than 7 or 8. So, you know,
Yeah, that's why you need a captain.
right. Anyway, Captain, I'm thinking some folks should probably stay on the ship in case a daring rescue needs to be flown through the city to collect at least bodies.
It's still not really like hip to this captain thing. Bryn's like, yeah, no, that would be smart. Always have a
Great.
backup plan.
And she just points down the hall and says, I nominate him to help. And Phelan kind of emerges from the hall yawning. I'm sorry, what?
Nomination granted. I don't know what to say here. That's fine, Ren. Do what you need. Like,
I can fly, he can handle sails, Oriana can to make sure we're going the right place.
I'm not questioning it. I'm saying
Great.
cool.
Wonderful.
That's fine.
Do I need to pack the go bags as she like starts going over to the kitchen and taking bits of potato and sausage and putting them into bags?
Hey, Bren. You know what's worse than no leader at all? A leader who won't assume the position.
I'm okay. Do we do this now? Do we want to do this now? Like, it's so early to have.
I'm
this
nominating
kind of like,
Bran for captain. Anybody got any complaints? All right, congrats, Cap.
Jeez. Okay.
All hail Captain Bran. Huh.
Y'all realize you got to make him one of them hats that sit sideways, right?
Are you all quite finished?
Balin just kind of wanders over. Captain, is it okay if I have some coffee?
We are not doing this. Get out of my face, Phelan.
They just walk past and give you a pat on the shoulder.
Okay, it's fine. No, Dove, yes, we will help you. We wouldn't be in the position that we are in now if it wasn't for your expertise. So absolutely, we will.
Good. Let's get her going.
Anyone do any last minute
stuff?
Sorry, go ahead, Andrew.
Oh, I was just asking Dev if he wants help packing up his stuff.
Does Dove need help packing up his things?
No, I think Sisk and I handled it earlier. We're good.
Anyone want to do any last minute things before you leave the ship?
I give Tig a gun.
No, you don't.
Okay, then nothing. I'm good.
Okay.
Wait, why can't Tig have a gun?
Because there aren't guns.
Oh,
Not
okay.
yet.
I don't know.
And I can promise you this, Sisk will not be the one that creates guns in Ysterra. There are already plans. Sisk ain't involved.
I'll hand out the healing potions that I got back in Rhyme Glen to whoever needs one.
All right, we'll sort out that offline. I will say that Tig does actually come up to Sisk, and through the mental ability that they have to communicate with one another, basically asks if he is staying here again.
I mean, that wasn't the plan. How frequently do you see?
You don't. Tig does not exist in the Imperium.
Yeah. Can we disguise Tig as something? Maybe I should have made Tig look more human. Probably not. It's probably for the best.
We gave them a little mustache, right? Did we draw a little?
We do it in a whiteboard marker, so we can change it every day if we want. Well, I'll ask Dove. Dove, should Tig come? We can maybe hide them in a cart or something. And do you think it'd be helpful for what you need?
I guess. We just need to get there. Like, we're wasting time.
Okay, fine. Tig, you stay here. Sorry.
He just kind of slumps his shoulders and clink, 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 mopes away.
Dang. Okay.
You guys, you have some interesting friends. That's all I gotta say.
Anyone else do anything last minute before you head out? Okay.
I take one last look at the engine and then, proud of my work, I'm ready to leave.
A lot to be proud of. As you make your way back to Sereneth with Dove, the familiar sights and sounds of the bustling city surround you. It is alive with activity. Merchants calling out wares, children darting between market stalls, the rhythmic clatter of wagons over cobblestone streets. The air is thick with the mingling scents of spices, baked goods, even a bit of sea salt that manages to waft from the violent oceans hitting the coast and sending spray. Despite all of this, particularly 80, but all of you can even tell to a certain degree an underlying hum of tension. You follow Dove through the winding streets until eventually you reach one of the busier sections of the Stones Market district. Here, workers swarm around long lines of wagons and all manner of different goods are being set about for various shopkeepers or merchants and the like. It's basically a scene of organized chaos as you make your way across this district. Eventually, you reach towards the edge of the district, but still among all of the hustle and bustle, a very long line of wagons, crates being hoisted up onto them with relative ease, some heavier than others. Teams of laborers moving about, horses snorting and stamping as they're fitted with harnesses, and various overseers shouting instruction, all barely audible across the various din that encompasses the entirety of this chaos. Anyone passing by, it looks like preparations for just another trade caravan, bound for whatever northern reaches of the Imperium they go. But as you move closer, you all, a few of you anyway, with sufficient perception, notice subtle signs, insignias, across various crates being loaded on to many of the wagons. Little emblems, almost invisible in one corner or another. Few of you think this must be the caravan that Dove was implying. Most of the workers here seem to be moving without question or hesitation, completely unaware of whatever goods they might be loading or whatever smuggling is taking place, that their packages and crates are being sent across the various deserts locations too. All seemingly just doing a normal daily job. Everything about this is designed to blend seamlessly, to hide in plain sight, as it were, amongst the bustling activity of this trade hub. Dove guides you through this throng, his eyes scanning the workers, looking for people that he recognizes. You see him nod in a couple of directions subtly and get a few signals back. But you can tell very clearly that he's looking for someone in particular, as many of the wagons are only loaded to half capacity. And finally, you spot her, Dove, Nora, standing near the head of the caravan, overseeing the final preparations. She's dressed simply, like any other merchant, her sleeves rolled up, a bit of sweat upon her brow. There's a steadiness to her, a calm confidence as she's looking over manifests and nodding and speaking to the various workers around her. And when she spots you, Dove, her face softens. She smiles.
Go ahead. I want to use message, and send her a little note that just says, "Who's the handsomest woman married to the most brilliant dwarf blacksmith ever to live in the history of this entire godforsaken planet?"
I don't know. My cousin Sarah has a nice husband.
I'm going back to the ship.
She smiles and starts moving towards you. As you all come closer to her, she kind of, opens her arms wide to embrace Dove and says, "There you are. Right on time as always."
A blacksmith always arrives exactly when he plans to arrive.
She just gives you a big kiss and hug.
Brought some friends. I mean, they took convincing. And that's not a joke. They literally took convincing. But
he just
they're here.
places a hand over your mouth. "Good to see you all came back. We're glad for the help."
Yeah, researched a robot. And they're like, this lady who looks like she was dead at
Don't
some
listen
point
to him.
is fantastic.
He's not going to give you any instructions that are actually going to be helpful. You listen to and she points out 3 other gentlemen. You listen to these gentlemen right here. They can direct you to places where we need the most help. And I appreciate it. Thank you muchly. As you all set about to the various tasks, Leek, could you please make a perception check?
Why am I not happy about that?
I don't know why you're not. I mean, I could just say you failed and move along. If
No,
that's
it's all
what
right. I have advantage on that, just so you know.
From what?
From something I have, my shield, my sentinel shield.
Or yep,
something.
You do.
Yeah.
You do, in fact. And you do have an advantage from Varl if you need to use it.
Okay, that'll be a 19.
Okay. So with a 19, you immediately start setting about to tasks. You've done this a handful of times before. You know what this process is like. You know what to be mindful of. And you, as you had indicated earlier this morning, are a bit on edge. And so you're looking for things to be out of place. And you don't see anything at first. Everything's moving exactly as it should. Everybody's moving along. But something is eating at the back of your mind. Something isn't right. You don't know what that something is. And then you spot it. See a young man, probably no more than 20, if that, human, loading up a barrel onto a wagon. Except you know that this barrel isn't marked. You know that all of the barrels that go onto your wagons have a pattern in the wooden planks that make up the barrel. And this isn't one of them. And as you go over and start making your way towards this young man, he turns and looks at you. And he spots you. Your eyes lock with his, and your eyes go wide as the barrel that he loaded on explodes in a violent rail of fire, sending debris and force rippling across the caravan in all directions. And that's where we're going to call it tonight, ladies and gentlemen.